Oh no.
Okay, I'm going to officially call this meeting to order at 6:04 p.m. Before we get going this evening, I would like to acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the traditional and unceded territory of the Iroquois, Mi'kmaq First Nations peoples, and as a community, we recognize the ever-present systemic inequities that stem directly from past wrongdoings, and we commit ourselves indefinitely to respecting and reconciling this long history of injustice. We'll now move to the agenda for this evening. The first item on the agenda for this evening is approval of the agenda. I have that shared up on the screen with you folks now. So at this time, I would like a motion for approval of the agenda. I see Carrie.
I would like to make a motion to move the approval of the minutes.
Thank you for your motion, Carrie. Unfortunately, until we approve tonight's agenda, I can't take the motion to
Oh my
approve.
gosh, I'm sorry. I misspoke. I would like to call to move a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Thank you so much. So that is can I get a seconder for that motion? Seconded by Malik. Carrie, would you like to speak to that?
No, thank you.
Would anyone like to speak to the agenda for this evening? So any amendments or changes to tonight's agenda? A final call for any changes to tonight's agenda. Seeing none, we will move to a vote using the polling function. All in favor of approval of the agenda as presented, all opposed, and those who wish to abstain. That motion has carried, so we are now on to tonight's agenda. At this time, I'll move to point 3 on the agenda, which is approval of the minutes from the March 14th meeting. Can I get a motion for approval of the minutes, please? I see Jeremy.
I move that we approve the minutes from the previous meeting.
Thank you very much for your motion, Jeremy. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Jessica, the Senate Rep. Jeremy, do you want to speak to that motion?
No, thank you.
Would anyone like to speak to that motion? So are there any changes that need to be made to the minutes that were circulated? Again, a chance for anyone to speak to any changes that need to be made to the minutes, any inaccuracies. Seeing none, we will move to a vote, once again using the polling function. All in favor, all opposed, and those who wish to abstain. A reminder, if you were not present for the last meeting, you should choose to abstain. And if you do abstain, please indicate your name in the chat box so the deputy chair can record that for this meeting's minutes. I see 2, okay. Oh, okay. I'll end that poll. So I will offer a reminder for folks who are attending this meeting who are not currently elected members of council. So who are not elected from the 2020-2021 council year, you folks are not eligible to vote or engage at this meeting. You're simply here to view the council meeting. So I'll ask the deputy chair to refrain from adding Lena DeBoo to the abstentions for the meeting. Thank you. That motion has carried. So the minutes have been approved from the March 14th meeting. We'll now move on to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which is reports. And for that, I will open the floor to the president first. Tulu, you should have screen sharing ability.
Yes, I do. Thank you very much, Ashley, and hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you for being here today. So I'll just share my report. It's a pretty short one for today. So based off of external, internal, and just general things from the Office of the President, I and Jose attended a forum that was organized by the Health Promotion Unit of UPEI, so the Chief Public Health Office, and we just gave them student opinion on a website they would like to create. Malak, and also the incoming VPACs, that is Anaga. We had a meeting with Minister Jenny Fox, and we just discussed various ways the SU can collaborate in future years. So for the incoming execs, we did explain the incoming policy priorities and also what the incoming execs might come to advocate for in the next couple of months. I had my monthly meeting with President Ala last Wednesday. We just discussed a couple of things about graduation, the incoming semester, and also the academic calendar for the upcoming semester. I do appreciate those counselors that attended the Leadership and Advocacy Forum that was held on Monday and Tuesday of last week. We taught or educated students on leadership and how to do advocacy. So from self-advocacy to advocacy as a group. It was just a fairly good turnout, but it was really an amazing session with those students that came. We had a panel discussion and we read back our previous VPACs. That was Sweta Dabu to come and speak as a panelist and also a student on campus to speak. Then I attended the finance and audit meeting as I'm a committee member and basically discussed the budget and also the residence building update and also risk management of the school. And just a couple of more things. I did attend the council initiative by the business representative, so the executive business series. It was really a wonderful one. Thank you, folks, for organizing that. I do appreciate it. And just one more thing in my report about the news from outside. The Chief Public Health Office or Chief Public Health Nursing Department has highlighted that folks or people that work in the public with customers can now register to collect their vaccine. So no longer people that are working in the food industry, but anyone working in public areas can collect their vaccine, and health cards are no longer mandatory. But if you do have one, you should definitely take it with you, but is no longer a requirement to get vaccinated. And that's all for my reports today. And I can take any questions.
Thank you very much for your report. Are there any questions for the president at this time? A final call for any questions for the president on her report. Seeing none, thank you, Tulu, for your report, and we will move on. The next item on the agenda for this evening is the VPAC's report. So for that, I will open the floor to Malik.
Okay, perfect. Hi, everyone. I'm going to try and share my screen. However, since our last meeting, I have also been very unsuccessful sharing my screen in other meetings. So I'm going to try it. But if you get just a black screen, let me know. I'm not sure what's wrong. But can you see my report?
Yes, your report is visible.
Perfect. Thanks. Yeah, so my report is pretty short today as well. I feel like the past 2 weeks haven't been incredibly eventful. They've also went by pretty fast. We shot AXCOM shot the student loan frequently asked questions video, and it should be posted on our social media sometime this week. And then we also had a student reach out to us about a grievance wanting to file a complaint under the fair treatment policy. I sat on the library council, which was it was a pretty good meeting. They discussed the OER funding. So the library is preparing a report that goes to the VP Academic and Research and then goes to the Department of Education, who will be providing the $50,000 as a lump sum to the library. According to my conversations with the Department of Finance, that it's not going to be a multi-year fund as of yet. They're going to continue to monitor the progress of the OER program and then decide on whether or not it could be a multi-year fund. And then the library also shared their points of views about the UPEI EDI plan. On the CASA side of things, we're kind of wrapping up for our AGM that's happening this upcoming week. So we had a board meeting and discussed what transition might look like. FPC met for, I met with the PRA and our executive director to discuss kind of the closing touches of FPC. And then we also had our last FPC meeting where we approved the policies we were working on so that they could be approved by the membership in AGM. And as always, had the monthly CASA liaison calls and met with our incoming VPACs and president with Minister Jamie Fox, who discussed things about maybe funding opportunities for future UPISU projects. And then the normal stuff. So we had an AXCOM meeting where we approved the policy priorities for the upcoming year. And we also had Stride and advocacy training. Thank you for everyone who came. And even though we didn't have a huge turnout, I think that everyone who did make it enjoyed their time. And I hope that they learned a lot. And yeah, I think it went pretty good. That was it for my report.
Thank you very much for your report, Malik. Are there any questions for the VPACs at this time? A final call for any questions for the VPACs on her report. Seeing none, thank you again for your report, and we will move on. The next item on the agenda for this evening is Jose's report, the VPSL. So I will open the floor to you, Jose.
Actually, can people see my things?
Yes, Jose.
Yay! So I hope everybody is doing well. We're closing on to the end of the year and we're closing on finals and projects and papers. So everybody please get on top of those. And I hope everybody's doing fine. As with pretty much everybody on the team, I'm pretty sure that my report is also slightly shorter than usual because most of it is kind of wrapping up now. So for clubs and societies, the banquet is happening. It's happening on April 6th from 6 to 9. We're hoping to have a live entertainment, some games and events. We're giving out awards. So I'm working on that with Lena and Mike. And then aside from that, Lena and I are preparing the mentorship and transition program, which she will be putting out, I think, tomorrow. So that clubs are aware and they'll be there so that they can better transition their executive teams from this year to the next year if their group is planning on coming back. I'm still waiting on and working on the pictures that hopefully I'll get from clubs for the yearbook, but they have until April 15th to submit that, so no rush there. But if you currently belong to a club or society and you're also on this call, please make sure to either submit a picture if you're thinking about being in the yearbook, filling out a form if you want to go to the banquet, and to nominate other people for banquet awards. And besides that, I'm working on a form that will basically work to better transition clubs and societies. So basically a big problem we have is that when a group finishes, especially if that student is graduating or something like that, they take with themselves information like the email, the password to the email, the banking information. So really useful information that their next team needs. And sometimes it's understandable that these people cannot be reached out to. So I'm just working on a form where the executives can fill out key information that their next executive team will need, just in case that they won't be able to have a transition, so that the student union can help a group finish that transition for that group if they were unable to. And yeah, so for events, pretty quiet week because strike and advocacy training and other stuff were happening. A Yumikin's sustainability challenge. Be sure to participate on that. But basically, I finished a survey for events and campaigns, and it's going out tomorrow. The communications manager and I decided that we would make it more kind of like a contest type survey thing to get more students engaged and get more input. And the survey also covers information about events offered by our bar manager, Mike Malali. And overall, we just expect it to be like a all-encompassing survey for events and campaigns that have happened in the UPISU for at least the past 4 or 5 years. I went back on the documents of the BPSL and also our Facebook page to find out like what happened and what could be considered to come back. And when that survey goes out, please, 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 please help me the same way you help Malak and Ayumikin to put their surveys out so we get as much information as possible. And you can also win tons of money. So hopefully students will do it themselves. Me and the current initiative manager discussed the event programming budget line. So basically, as it is right now, the BPSL has specific budget lines that are meant to be used by specific groups on campus. So for example, the grad student budget line is supposed to be used by the grad students association. And sometimes it's hard to keep track of when is this budget line being used or for what purposes is being used. So basically, I created a forum where all the groups or people who are supposed to be using those forms for their initiatives, encouraged by the BPSL, can fill out the information so that the administrative manager and I can keep better track of that information. And I'm sure it'll help Sierra in her term. So yeah, that's exciting. And Callie and I have been working on final exam study kits. So we'll be preparing those today and tomorrow, and we'll be giving them out throughout the last week of school from April 1st to 8th here at the Student Union. So if you want the study kit, be sure to drop by. I'll be sure to fill them with great stuff. I'm still working on some counselor initiatives, but congrats to Sam, Ekene, and Sierra on completing their initiative successfully. And everybody, please attend Akshay's initiative happening on April 1st. Communications for information on that is going out tomorrow as well. And then, yeah, it was a busy kind of end of semester for scholarships. There were a lot of things to approve, but all of that is done. Been working a lot on the transition document for Sierra. Hopefully that'll help her out if next year is kind of like COVID-ish. And then, oh yeah, I also went to that meeting with Tulu with Live Well PI by CPHO just to discuss some things in terms of providing a website with resources for health and mental health for students at large at UPEI. And yeah, the other things are pretty self-explanatory, but pretty much just wrapping things up. But you can always check out the forms available in this document if you wanna like check out the forms for all the different things. Thank you.
Thanks for your report, Jose. Are there any questions for the VPSL at this time? A final call for any questions. Seeing none, we will move on. Again, thank you for your report, Jose. The next item on the agenda for this evening is the VP Finances report. And for that, I'll open the floor to Ayumakin.
So I'll just go over my report from March 15th up until March 28th. And starting off, I had Financial Literacy Week in collaboration with various offices on campus. There wasn't a huge turnout, but however, most of the sessions were recorded and would be available for students to watch online. Also met with the incoming VP Finance to discuss a bit about the role. We'll be diving deeper into it in the coming weeks. Also met with Jeremy to discuss the logistic about the book exchange program, alongside with Lena to see locations and basically how the books would be going in and out. Also started the hamper give out on the giveaway. I started giving out the hamper on the 22nd. So far, we have had about 12 students receive their hamper, and it has been pretty easy to put together. Also met with Mike, the bar manager, to go over the numbers for the Fox and Crow and just to see how things would change moving forward. In terms of mental health and wellness officer, so Kali is going to be working alongside with Jose to prepare the exam kit. Also preparation for the workshop with CMHA for life after graduation, which will be held April 1st, and also preparing for transition for the new incoming mental health and wellness officer. And that's my report.
Great, thank you very much for your report. Are there any questions for the VP Finance at this time? A final call for any questions for Ayumakin. Seeing none, we will move on. Thank you again for your report, Ayumakin. The next item on the agenda this evening is the Senate report. I'm not quite sure who is presenting, but I would open the floor to any of the Senate reps.
Hi, we haven't met since the last meeting, so there's nothing to report.
Great, thank you for your report, Maggie. We'll now move to the next item on the agenda, which is the Board of Governors report. I will open the floor to the Board of Governors rep.
Yeah, thank you. But same here too. Since our last meeting, there was no BOG meeting, Board of Governors meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much for the update. We'll now move to the next item on the agenda for this evening, as that concludes reports. And now we'll be moving into item number 5, UPEISU policy priorities for 2021-2022. And for that, I will open the floor to Malik.
Okay, I'm just gonna share my screen. Perfect. So at our last AXCOM meeting, so we closed off, I'll just scroll down. We closed off the survey on March 15th. So it was open for 2 weeks from March 2nd to March 15th for our policy priority survey. 706 students in general answered the survey. For the ranking question, 474 students ranked. And you can see all the rankings here. AXCOM discussed, usually there's 4 policy priorities that go into the next year. Since there were pretty close ties on more than one, we decided to bring forward 5 to council. So they basically just guide the incoming VPAC's research, but they're not like kind of stuck in stone. They're also usually pretty general themes so that more research can be done on what specific asks can be done to help our students. So the first one was affordable housing, and as you can see back here, that one won by a landslide on being number one. A lot of students said that it was one of their main expense, which it is one of the largest costs for students still, and it's been something that we've advocated on before a few times, but we really haven't seen a ton of progress in that area. Second one was student financial aid. A lot of students were talking about the effect of COVID-19 and also the prospects of their employment. The third one was student health and wellness, and this could take lots of avenues. It could be mental health, it could be physical health, and there were different needs expressed in the survey answers, as there was a chance for students to elaborate on each theme. The fourth one was affordable textbooks. And even though this is something that we've seen good progress on in the past couple of years, there's definitely some momentum there to catch and to build more on. And then food security was the last one that AXCOM decided should be on there. And food security is usually not a VPAX thing, so this could possibly also just be kind of like a larger scope theme for UPISU projects, maybe provide some direction to the VPFA for some services. And a lot of students also cited that being a student and being not very financially secure affects students eating healthy. So those are the 5 policy priorities for next year. And I would like to raise a motion that council approve them.
Great, thank you very much for your motion, Malik. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Carrie. Malik, would you like to speak to that motion?
No, thank you.
Would anyone like to speak to that motion? So any questions for Malik on what has been presented or any thoughts on the advocacy priorities for the upcoming school year? A final call for any comments on the current motion. Seeing none, we will move to a vote. All in favor of approving the advocacy priorities as presented for the 2021-2022 academic year? All opposed and those who wish to abstain. That motion has carried, so the advocacy priorities have been approved. We'll now move to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which is the UPEISU budget 2021-2022, and for that, I'll open the floor to you, McCann.
The budget has been, I presented the budget last week, and there hasn't been any change since then. And I'm just trying to read out, but I can take any questions from any councillors regarding the budget because we would need to approve the budget tonight. But if there are any questions, I'm happy to take any.
Great. So the budget has remained as presented from the last council meeting. Are there any questions for you, McKinn, on the budget before we proceed with a motion? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to approve the UPEISU 2021-2022 budget as presented. I see Malik.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to raise a motion to approve the 2021-2022 budget as presented.
Thank you for your motion, Malik. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Tulu. Malik, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you. Just thank you, Ayumakan, for putting it together. Thanks.
Is there anyone who wishes to speak to this motion? A final chance for anyone to speak to this motion. Seeing no one, we will move to a vote. All in favor of approval of the UPEISU 2021-2022 budget as presented. All opposed and those who wish to abstain. And that motion has carried. So the budget has been approved as it was presented at the last council meeting. So congratulations to our VP Finance and our VPACs for getting ready the documents for the next upcoming council year. Very exciting. We will now move to the next point on the agenda for this evening, which is point 7, which is executive evaluations. As executive evaluations involve human resources, this is an item that the UPEISU Council will be tackling in camera. So at this time, I would ask for a motion for council to move in camera or into a private session of council. I see Sam.
I'd like to move a motion that we move in camera.
Thank you very much for your motion, Sam. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Carrie. Sam, would you like to speak to that motion?
No, thank you.
Okay, thanks. Would anyone like to speak to that motion? Seeing no one, we will move to a vote. All in favor of moving in camera to discuss executive evaluations? All opposed? Those who wish to abstain? That motion has carried. We are now moving into an in-camera session. At this time, I will be pausing the recording. So hi folks, we have just returned from our in-camera session on executive evaluations, and this is the resuming of the meeting. I know there were a couple of future executives who were with us at the beginning who had to leave for the in-camera session. So if someone wants to reach out and let them know that they can rejoin the session if they'd like, you can do that. I will be sending them an email, but I'm not sure if there's a faster way to reach them. So at this time, we'll be moving to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which is society ratifications. Jose, are there any new society ratifications?
No, the only group that applied for ratification is a returning group, Shinorama, UPEI, and I approved it. So it's all good.
Okay, great. That'll move us to the next item on the agenda for this evening, which is new business. So we are now in new business, and I would open the floor to anyone who wishes to speak. I see Tulu.
Thank you very much, Chair. So I'm just replying to, I believe it was Jeremy and Adam that did request that council knows where the athletic fee goes to. So I got a reply from the VP Finance and Administration of the university, who is Jackie Porja, and I'll just be reading out her email on council here. So she did mention the finance and admin fee allows the university to provide a large athletic facility and various athletics services to our student population. The fee allows students to access a fitness facility, intramural sports, and fitness classes that if they were to pay for privately would cost a significant amount more. Since similar to those other fees students pay, this fee is directed to the Department of Athletics. Without it, we cannot operate the current facility and provide the services to our students that currently exist. Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Tolu. Was there anyone who wished? I see Jeremy.
So if I understood correctly, unlike what was stated at the previous meeting, it's to be said that the entirety of the fee is in fact going to the athletic department?
Oh yes, and I do apologize for that statement I made, that it doesn't go to the athletic fee. It was, yeah.
And would you say that, again, I don't know if you're paraphrasing or reading exactly, would you say that she would be willing to provide a further breakdown? Like, is it just sent as a lump sum and then, you know, they do with it what they will? There's not really recording of how that money is spent, or do you think she'd be willing to, or that it would be possible for us to find out more about how that is spent? Or no, you think that they're kind of closing off access to us at that point?
I'm not sure if they'll be giving specific financial statements to that, to like for each department. I did check on the website, and what the financial statement says, it doesn't really give for specific departments on campus. So I don't know if she would be willing to give that, but this was what she provided to me.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, was there anyone else who wished to speak during new business? I see Jose.
Yay! So the only thing that I wanted to say was that okay, so the survey for events and campaigns is pretty much done. I was thinking about sharing that with all of you folks tonight, and me and the communications manager are thinking about putting it out tomorrow at 4 p.m. and then it'll be open from pretty much tomorrow until the end of the semester-ish, around the 20th, so that I have enough time to like get enough responses, but also to break down the data for Sierra for next year. So I just wanted to see if that's something that counselors would like to see before it goes out, so they can give me some feedbacks and some questions that should be asked or removed, or any things that I can change. And additionally, also, once that's ready and it's out to students, please share, put it on social media, make a story, make a fun video, I don't know, but make sure that all students on campus answer it. Just because I don't know how to reiterate this, but Malex and the Umicon surveys probably will traditionally get more responses because there are things that students feel more strongly about. Advocacy efforts, services offered. Students usually don't have super strong feelings when it comes to events. So I will just need the extra help from all of you if I want to make sure that my survey is nearly as successful as theirs. So just putting that out there.
Okay, or was there anyone else who wished to speak during new business, or any comments for Jose?
Okay, the other thing that I was gonna add actually is so it hasn't been officially announced because I got COVID vaccinated this Monday, and then I was pretty much down for the rest of, like, I was down for 3 days. I'm technically right now the NSO slash grad week coordinator. So if any students here are graduating or are thinking about being NSO leaders or anything for next year or whatever, if you're in any of those groups or any group, be sure to reach out to me if you have any ideas or things you would like to see or anything like that. So yeah, excitement. I hope some of you who are returning will be leaders or point people.
And I hope those who are graduating will come to any of the events we'll be having for Grad Week.
Okay, any additional folks who are looking to speak during new business? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion for adjournment because that's the last thing on our agenda for this evening. I see Sam.
I'd like to propose a motion for adjournment.
Thank you very much for your motion. Can I get a seconder for that motion, please? Seconded by Jessica. Sam, did you want to speak to that motion?
No, thank you.
Okay, did anyone want to speak to that motion? Seeing no one, we will move to a vote, once again using the polling function. All in favor of adjournment, all opposed, those who wish to abstain. That motion has carried. So we are officially adjourned at 8:22 p.m. Thank you very much, folks, especially for your patience tonight. And I will see you folks in 2 weeks for our last council meeting of the year. I hope everyone has a great week.